guys, this is E10 Sun from SunBros. Today I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this brand new video, but before we get started with that, I want to make sure I remind you guys on how to get entered in for a chance to win our guaranteed skin giveaways that we do every Sunday night during our 1-hour question and answer live stream. All you gotta do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and comment below with your in-game name and which skin you'd like to receive on either the NA or EU servers under 700 vouchers. And remember, the more videos that you do this with that are uploaded each week, the higher chance you have to win. Alright guys, welcome to our how to build Emily video. I'm really excited about this one because I have really enjoyed testing builds on Emily. She's a very fun hero to play, and I definitely recommend if anyone enjoys playing this warrior kind of assassinish, tankish hero. Doesn't really have a solid description on Emily. She's very unique, but I implore everyone to give it a shot. Give it a shot. She's really fun, and I found her to be very versatile. It's something I really like about her. I found that I could really build in a couple different ways and be successful with her, and we're going to go over those things in just a moment. As always, we're going to be starting in the hero page, going over Emily's abilities to figure out a little bit about who she is and what she brings to the table, so we can best figure out how to build her. Emily's passive is dual. When Emily's normal attacks and combo hit only once per target, they only hit one target, she deals a 50% additional damage. Now this is a really important key factor to Emily's entire kit, as well as how and why we're going to build her. That doesn't mean that Emily has to be one-on-one. It means that Emily is best used when she picks off that target that's furthest away from the rest of the team. 50% extra damage is a lot of damage, and it shouldn't be scoffed at in any way, shape, or form. So if Emily, for example, if Emily can separate the squishy damage dealer from the peeler with her knockback, deal extra 50% extra damage, she'll knock down that squishy way faster. Emily's first ability is Kick Blade. This is a 10-second cooldown to start off, and it's flat 10 seconds. It doesn't go down throughout at all. Emily flings a blade hidden behind her leg. After hitting the initial target, the blade bounces up to 4 times between enemies, dealing 150 damage plus 0.6 or 60% of AD scaling, and reducing the target's movement speed by 30% for 1 second. With the initial target taking an additional 50% reduction in speed. So that's an 80% slope for the first target hit, and then it bounces up to 3 more people and slows them up for 30% for 1 second. Emily gains 20% movement speed for 3 seconds after the blade returns to her, and her health is restored by 125 plus 0.5 of the AD, or 50% scaling, and the ability's cooldown is reduced by 30%. So you can reduce the cooldown when you receive the blade back, and that can take a little bit of time, considering it can pass up to 4 people. A really solid ability. And the healing should not be minimized. That actually can heal for quite a lot of health. Number 2 is combo. Cooldown starts to 7 seconds, and very minimally decreases to 6 seconds at level 6. Emily launches into a chain of attacks, dealing 80 plus 30% of the AD scaling, or 0.3 AD scaling physical damage. The second hit knocks her target into the air. It empowers her next normal attack to deal an additional 80 plus 30% or 0.3 AD scaling with a charge effect. There's also, so it's 1 attack, 2 attacks, second attack knocks the target up. You don't have to hit it twice, you only hit it once, and it does it in continuation of one another. And then it gives you an empowered auto attack, which is going to have a charge effect. And what it means a charge effect is it means it will dash to the target you're attacking. And there's a passive along with this. Emily recovers 1% of her maximum HP, and maximum mana per second, and gains 10 movement speed after exiting combat. So Emily gets a base flat easy 1% HP and mana per second, as well as some free movement speed, making Emily really good at mobility. Now, one thing I should note: combo is the combo, the 1-2 attacks that happen when you hit this ability. They do dash her forward twice, but neither will be able to go over any walls. So do not use them with that expectation. Last is her ultimate, Enrage. Now this cooldown starts to 60 seconds, it goes on to 50 seconds, and it's a pretty interesting ability. Emily becomes enraged after 1 second. She deals 300 magic damage, and that's in a AoE effect in a circle. And she also gains 100 attack damage and 40 movement speed, and she becomes immune to 40 damage. While enraged, she also deals 60 magic damage every second for 8 seconds. Now that's damage to everyone around her. Pretty large AoE radius. So the base damage goes up to from 300 to 500 level 3. the ground AoE damage, that's what you're gonna do by being near people for 8 seconds after you ult. That goes from 60 to 100. And then the damage blocked, which is just a flat block damage, goes from 40 to 80. And then of course the attack damage increase goes from 100 to 200. So at level 3, she's gonna have 200 extra attack damage for free, which is awesome. All right, let's go ahead and go to the equipment page and work out a build for Emily that really works for who she is. And we're gonna give you guys 2 builds, very different builds, I think, that are gonna have completely different purposes, but that's part of the versatility that makes Emily special, and I think later on will make Emily a strong hero in ranked gameplay, competitive gameplay, because you can take her into a game and build her 2 totally different ways based on how the game is going and based on who's on the enemy team. Okay, so first item we're going to be getting is going to be Leviathan. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. Number 1, Emily is excellent in the jungle. She can play side lane also, but she's excellent in the jungle. She has a really, really solid jungle clear. I say probably top 5 jungle clear speeds. So we're going to go ahead and take her into the jungle on this occasion. We're going to take Leviathan first because we want to give Emily some tankiness. She is a tank warrior tank class. She plays more like a warrior, and we're going to be building her today like an off tank. And then we'll give you guys a second build. So we get 100 armor, 750 max HP. The passive flame magic deals 90 magic damage plus 5 per level, so it can go all the way up to 105. But 105, so 195 damage. It actually teeters out a little bit more than that. And then so it's AoE damage, burn damage we call it, to every nearby enemy every second, and it deals double damage to minions and monsters, which is excellent, guys. So that is one part. So we talked about it. For 8 seconds after ulting, Emily's ult is going to do an AoE damage, magic damage around her. Now she's getting more magic damage via Leviathan. And then the other one, the other passive is Wild. It increases maximum HP for 70 for every monster killed, stacks up to 15 times. Okay, so that one goes up to 1050, so 1050 extra health. We attach that onto the 750 we already have, giving us 1800 potential health. So 70 times 15, so double check my math real quick. So 1050, correct? And then the first one was 5 times 15 equaled 75. I totally was way off on that. I knew I was, so that's why I wanted to double check. So that's actually gonna go all the way up to 165. It does do a little bit more damage than that in game. I'm not 100% sure why exactly, but it does do more damage to that. Obviously, particularly to minions where it does double. Okay, next we're going to be taking our boots, and we're going to be taking Gilded Greaves. As with most heroes that do not have any way to remove crowd control of any kind, or become immune to it, we're going to be taking Gilded Greaves for that reason alone, but we also get 110 magic defense. So we got some armor and health. Now we're getting some magic defense. We're of course getting the boots movement speed, and then we're getting the unique passive resistance. 35% resistance. What that gives us is it gives us a reduction of any sort of crowd control by 35%. So if you're getting stunned for 1 second, or knocked up, knocked back, slowed, anything for 1 second, you end up only going to get stunned or slowed for 0.65 seconds instead, which is a huge thing. It's really, really helpful. So that's going to be our boots. Then we're going to go back to defense and take another defensive item for our third item, and that's going to be Mantle of Ra. And the Mantle Rod does give us some starting attack damage. Now we're going to start to build some damage with her. We're also getting 330 armor. So now we have a potential 1800 health from Leviathan, plus 100 armor. We have 110 magic resist. And now we're getting 330 armor, giving us a total of 430 on our armor. But one of the main reasons we're also getting this is because of the passive burn. So this is our second, or really our third burn damage. We're going to deal 100 damage plus 4 per level, which obviously will top off at 60. Magic damage to nearby enemies every second. And then it deals double damage again in minions and monsters, making Mantle of Ra and Leviathan a pretty solid choice. Now, when you combine these with her ultimate that does the burn damage for 8 seconds, Emily starts to do a really solid amount of AoE damage just by being nearby. And being nearby is one of Emily's specials. She has a lot of really solid crowd control that we talked about. In her second ability has a knock up. Her first ability is an 80% slow on the first target hit and a 30% slow on all the remaining targets. Not to mention her ultimate gives her a pretty hefty movement speed boost. she really starts building it. Plus, of course, we got her ultimate, gives her 200 attack damage. So let's then we're going to be building our first damage item. This one's a bit of a surprise for those of you who have not had a lot of experience playing Emily or don't know. And we're going to be taking Clave's Sanctity. And the reason why is because Emily has some really, really wonderful crit ability. It'll work in conjunction with her ultimate, or sorry, with her Arcana. But if you get one single crit with Emily, like an empower crit after her second ability, after you do the combo, you get an empowered auto attack off with her when it crits. Even at this point in the game, it's going to crit for 3,000 damage, even though you haven't built very much attack damage to date. Really solid. We're also getting 90 attack damage from this. We're getting the extra movement speed if we land a crit, and then of course we're getting, which is only usable by ranged targets, which she is not, so that won't even matter on her. And then we get 2 passives, the 25% crit damage or crit chance, and then we get 50% extra crit damage. And the reason why this really comes in handy, because even though we don't build a lot of attack damage on Emily, when you combine the 50% crit damage with the 50% extra damage to when you hit a solo target with auto attacks or the ability combo, it starts to really get up there in damage, especially when you crit. And for that alone, it's well worth it. She can crit pretty heavily, and we're going to use Arcana. That's going to work well with Clave's Sanctity to boost our crits even higher. Okay, then we're going to our next item, and this item I absolutely loved on Emily. It worked really well in conjunction with the rest of her abilities. It's Medallion of Troy. We get 10% cooldown reduction, which is obviously always useful, but in this case, it's our only cooldown reduction unless we get any using our Arcana. We're taking 360 magic defense, which is giving us a total of 470. So 470 magic defense. We have 100 armor plus 330. That gives us 430. We actually have more magic defense in this build than we do armor, surprisingly. But it's not really a full tank build. It's more of an off tank build. And then we're going to get the max HP for 1,000, giving us even more health. And then we're getting the shield. The shield gains a shield that absorbs 300 plus 50 per level. So it's going to be an extra 750. So that's 1050 shield, and it absorbs magic damage specifically every 18 seconds. This one really, really is beneficial for Emily because it's one of the main targets that can target Emily down when you're in a team fight is a mage. And the shield comes in handy, the magic defense comes in handy because Emily's got great crowd control mobility, so this works really well in conjunction with just who she is as a hero, making her very tanky. At this point in the game, you are surprisingly tanky. Not only do you have the shield from Medallion of Troy, you have double burn damage, you got a good amount of health, you got a good amount of armor, and then of course, via her abilities, we're going to go back real quick. We have the 1% maximum HP from her second ability combo on the passive. And then we get the heals from our Kickblade ability, which is really solid. Also, those heals end up adding up quite a bit. And then last but not least, we're going to be taking another attack item, Rank Breaker. And this is really simple. We want 110 attack damage. It's really solid to have on her. And then we want to do the increased movement speed after exiting battle. Is really nice. It's not necessary, but it's really nice for her overall mobility. She has a great mobility, and this just makes it even better. And then of course the unique passive increases armor pierce by 100 and then 10 per level, so at level 15 it'll be 250 armor pierce. This gives her a very baseline damage across the board on everything, and the armor pierce helps obviously just do extra damage. Okay, so this is Emily's first build that we're gonna do on her. I've played this one a bunch of times. I have a bunch of people in the guild and Discord who play this build and really, really love it. Got nothing but rave reviews for this build, so 2 thumbs up on this one. And then we're gonna give you an alternative build that I found very enjoyable, and this is it here. Now this has got some, so this is kind of a flip-flop of it. The other one has two damage items and 4 tank items, and this one has 3 damage items and two tank items, without obviously not including the boots. Okay, so we're gonna start with Soul Reaver, and if you want to do some damage on Emily, Soul Reaver is a solid item. 80 attack damage to start, 6% lifesteal, and 15% cooldown reduction. Now you get the passive Wild, where it increases damage by 3 attack damage by 3 for every monster killed. It stacks up to 15 times, so at 15 stacks, you're going to gain a really solid 45 extra damage to top this out at 125. Now, 125 is the second highest attack damage item in the game. works really well for her. The little bit of lifesteal really makes her be able to clear the jungle without taking any damage because she gets the lifesteal from Soul Reaver along with the lifesteal from her first ability. And then the cooldown reduction helps. She can do all her abilities more often. They really are a big part of who she is as a hero. So solid. Now, when you finish Soul Reaver, you're going to be able to start critting for over 2,000 damage when you do. So you got your Arcana. I don't have any crit yet on my build, but I got some crit Arcana and I've got some crit extra damage Arcana. So at this point, you're already starting to crit for over 2,000 damage with one on the empowered auto attack with one item, which is pretty impressive. Her AD scaling isn't really beneficial to go too heavy into AD because even if you get to like 2,300 with one item on a crit, and then if you take full damage items, you crits only get up to 4,900, so it's not really a tremendous amount more. I'd rather be able to survive longer. Then we're taking Gilded Greaves for the same reason. We're going the Ages. We're going to get 20% more cooldown reduction, giving her 35% maxed out. So with this build, we're going to be doing a little bit more damage, but we're also going to need to be able to sustain better. And sustaining better means using her ultimate more. It means hitting her first ability more and getting some health back. So the cooldown reduction helps in that. Not just the tankiness, which we have 360 armor, 400 extra mana, which is good because she uses a lot of mana. And then, of course, the passive Spirit Bond. When taking damage, reduces the attacker's attack speed by 30% and movement speed by 15%. So we talked about how good Medallion of Troy is against mages of all kinds. Well, the Aegis is the same kind of thing towards any marksman. So now we're doing a reduction in attack speed against marksmen, which is really helping us be more tanky against them. And we're doing the awesome Medallion of Troy for that passive that helps us more tanky against mages. So solid around. Then we're getting Clave Sanctity for the exact same reason we said before. It's really nice on her. After you buy Clave Sanctity, you'll be critting for around 3,000 damage, which is really nice to have. And you have some pretty decent crits, so you're going to get some nice crits off. And then, of course, Medallion of Troy for the exact same reasons we talked about in the other build. And the same for Rank Breaker, the exact same reasons we just discussed. And then once we get to full build, we're doing some really solid crits on top of all the other stuff that we're doing with our ability. So damage is solid overall across the board with this build. So we'll give you a recap soon about these builds. First, let's go ahead and head over to the talents. We're gonna have to take Punish on both these builds. Now, if you want to take Amelie in lane and you do not want to use Punish, I would first off recommend using Punish because both the Leviathan and Soul Reaver items on her work very, very well, and I don't think there's a reason not to take it, or I don't think she has a need for any other talent in particular to where she can't take Punish. If you really want to take something else, I mean, you look at Flicker and Heal, just simple Purify, stuff like that. Simple, easy stuff. Or Execute if you really want to, although I'm not a big fan of Execute. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the, not talents, we're going to take a look at the Arcana. And we're going to take some Crit Arcana. So we're going to start with Rampage. With either build, we're taking Crit Arcana because it works really well with her build and with the Clave Sanctity. So this is 7% chance to crit and 36% critical damage. So when we get that with Clave Sanctity, that's 86% extra critical damage, and it gives us 32% chance to crit. So not a lot of chance to crit, but enough to make a difference. So we're going to get 10 of these, and we're going to go to the purple, and we're going to be getting Assassinate. That gives us 10% movement speed and 16 attack damage, making your mobility even stronger. So we're enhancing or insinuating her strength of mobility, and we're giving her more damage. And then, of course, on the green side, we're going to go ahead and lock up Skewer, which gives us 9 attack damage and 64 armor pierce. Now, with just this base on both items, because we do get Rank Breaker on both, we're going to end up with a armor pierce level of 314 armor pierce on Amelie, which is really solid to have. If you have a really tank heavy team, you'd consider switching out Rank Breaker from Muramasa, but solid all around. And that's going to be the Arcana you take on both builds. Now, that's it for Arcana. We're going to go back into here and we're going to give you guys a recap of the build. The main build that we're suggesting is an off-tank build on Amelie, and it includes Leviathan first, Gilded Greaves, Mantle of Ra, Clave Sanctity, Medallion of Troy, and Rank Breaker. In our second build that we're going to give you guys for a more damaging build that I really like also, that's still fairly tanky, is Soul Reaver first, Gilded Greaves, the Aegis, Clay Sanctity, Medina Troy, and Rank Breaker. Alright guys, that is our 2 builds for Emily along with the Arcana and Talent pool. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, until next time.